Hi there, folks. We've got a special show this week with an eye on Black History Month and some great perspectives from three different generations. RJ Austin is a Vanderbilt commit and a perfect game All-American. We're excited to hear his voice from the man out of Georgia. Perfect Game cares, and Perfect Game giving back to the communities that need it most will understand how that is pulled together in the years 2021 and 2022. Edwin Thompson is the head coach at Georgetown, one of a few Division I African-American head coaches. Can't wait to hear his thoughts as he looks at his program and his journey to the top of college baseball as a head coach. But we start with the man, if you're my age, then you know he's a legend. He's an intimidator. He's Dave Stewart. And Dave Stewart spends time with us now. World Series hero. We're always better when we talk with you. I know I selfishly am, but all the young athletes, with the guidance you provide, really excited to have you share that with them as well. Thanks for being with us.
I'm hoping I can be helpful in any way that I can, especially when I'm talking to the young guys.
Take me back then, if you don't mind. It's a generation plus back in the 70s. You're at St. Elizabeth High School in Oakland. You're a great athlete. You're doing just about everything. You're doing it well. All-state football player, all-state catcher. And then comes the time where you have to make some decisions. Kind of take me through your senior year of high school and how you eventually made the decision to sign your pro contract with the Dodgers out of the 16th round.
Well, the draft is handled much differently now than it was back in those days. I was drafted and I didn't even know it for 2 weeks. So eventually the Dodgers came into my house. They requested that I go to a camp. It was a workout camp and a trial camp. I caught for 3 innings and pitched for 1 inning. And then another 2 weeks after the camp, they made the first offer. I turned down their first, second, and third offer, and they eventually got to a price that I felt would be acceptable. And quite frankly, had I known I'd grow to be 6'2", 220, 230 pounds, which is what I played at my baseball career, I probably would have chosen football.
What an incredible start. You've done it all in baseball and done it all very well. What advice would you have for a young 16 or 17-year-old who's good? I mean, good enough to maybe go to college, to maybe be a pro. And then the second part of that question, if it needs to be said differently, would you have a piece of advice for an African-American player in the same position?
Well, my advice to all kids is I highly recommend education being a top priority for any kid that's going to play the game of baseball. Now, baseball is also a cerebral sport. And because it is a cerebral sport, you have to be able to think while you're doing your job. You don't have the opportunity to say, well, I'm going to take notes now, think about this later, and come back with an answer. When the bases are loaded with nobody out, you've got to figure out how you're going to get hitters out and what is the best attack, best approach in that situation to accomplish what you want to, which is ultimately to get out of that inning with no runs scored or with minimal runs scored. And that takes thought, it takes foresight, it takes intelligence, it takes instincts, and those things all created in a work atmosphere or in school. For black athletes, we know that the numbers are very few. And when you're 6% of the game, it means that you've got to get out there and you've got to do all you can do to the best of your ability. There's no time for relaxation. You have to make the ultimate sacrifices in every aspect of your life to become a major leaguer.
I hope the numbers certainly grow to the big leagues that some days do, but I also hope that it grows into the front offices after that, if that all makes sense. Are you encouraged? What encourages you about the growth and the expansion?
Well, I'm not encouraged about what's taking place in office management and field management. I am not encouraged, and I don't see any change in those areas. I just don't see it. I do believe that when it comes to playing and the on-field aspect of it, I think that the numbers will get better. I think that there are more kids, black kids in general, that are encouraged by the black athletes that they see playing the game. A guy like Kumar Rocker did good for this game at Vanderbilt, not only because he's a black pitcher or a black player, but he also went to a top division academic school.
Understood and understood. And I appreciate your candor. I really do. We all grow when we listen, and I appreciate that. Finally, because I have your ear, and I'm the envy of many that gets to talk to a legend like you. And I'll be honest, I regret that I've lost my father now. I regret that I didn't ask him more questions like this. So I want to walk out to the mound with you. I want to get inside of your head. Stu, you pick any game, anytime. You 3 times you're a postseason MVP, 3 times you're world champion. What was it like to walk out there, to stare down the hitter, to hear a roar so loud, whether it was for or against you, that you probably had to learn to shut it out?
It's like no other feeling that you'll ever have. And it's not something that you accomplish right away. Quite frankly, I was privileged to have Sandy Koufax around me. I had an opportunity to learn how to intimidate. I had a chance to talk to Sandy Koufax, and Sandy tell me it only takes 1 inch of fear in a hitter, and you will dominate that hitter for a career. I was privileged to have Don Newcomb around me. I was privileged to have Roy Campanella for the time that he was on this earth. And even more importantly, you mentioned him, I was privileged to have your father as my teammate, and to be able to pick his brain and understand what it means to compete. The Dodger organization at that time was the class and the cream of the crop for any major league team. And we walked around with a different type of pride, a chip on our shoulder that many envied and most hated. I had an opportunity to watch your father do bullpens, and I've never seen anybody since command a breaking ball the way he did. And in Dodger camp, we had the string area, and he could hit that string on the inside, outside, top of the zone, and the bottom of the zone with his breaking ball. I don't know that there is any other feeling than to know that when a guy steps in the box, he doesn't have a chance. And I don't know how you express that in feeling and emotion, but it's the ultimate confidence that you can possibly have in a one-on-one competition, to know that you won before he stepped in the box.
Wow. Stu, thank you for your insights, your honesty, your guidance, who you are, always being a friend to the young athlete. My goodness, we've been lucky over the last couple of years to reconnect with you. I was lucky when you were an assistant GM, a GM, a pitching coach. We shared airplane flights together. I've been fortunate to remain a friend, and so thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me on. It's always good to see you.
Incredible stuff. Love talking with Stu. And how enlightening is that if you've never heard him speak before? He's not quite so intimidating, is he? What a career he had. When we come back, we learn how Perfect Game Cares gives back to the communities that need it most. This is Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rollins. We welcome you back to Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. Grow the game. That's the mantra for Perfect Game. Always has been, always will be. But Perfect Game Cares, that group and all the give back, it's to grow the game, at-risk communities, and those that are underserved. And grow the African-American presence in the game certainly as well. Much like the efforts of the Breakthrough Series and Tony Regans and Dale Matthews with Major League Baseball. This is the heart and soul of founder Jerry Ford. This is Perfect Game Cares.
PG Cares was created with my father's vision, Jerry Ford's vision. He really wanted to have a mechanism with which to give back for all the success of PG, and in particular for children from underserved areas across the country. So our Grow the Game Fund was essentially established to run camps like we're seeing here today, and to provide resources and opportunity long lasting in communities across this country that need us the most.
In the end, it's really boils down to, how much did you really help? To me, that's probably the single most important thing that we're presently doing.
And everybody always asks me, why is it not African Americans playing the game of baseball at the big league level like it used to be? And, I tell them it's an expensive sport, it's a patient sport, and sometimes the parents control the kids, and they want them to play what they feel like they can make it to the top quicker. And if we don't supply them with equipment, if we don't make it fun for them and motivate them, they're not going to play this game.
It was tough. It was tough. My brother spent 23 years in the penitentiary, so I had a lot of things, a lot of bad things going on around me, but I didn't let it stop me. I was involved in sports. I played football, basketball, baseball to stay busy and to stay away from the things that was going on around me.
It's important to share that with the kids so they can have something to lean on and know that
they're not by themselves. They're not the only ones that's going through this, and great things can happen if you keep working and you have people that believe in you.
We were those kids at one time, and I think for us it's important to show these kids that we didn't grow up with a lot of money, a lot of us. We worked hard and we were dedicated, and you could be that same person if you do the same thing. And at the same time, we're teaching them about giving back, being part of the community.
Being out here really inspired me to do what I love and also have fun doing what I love.
Fun is the most important thing.
Because today I had a lot of fun.
Young girls, I feel like kind of stray away from wanting to start out sports early, and to see older girls that are playing sports, I think is like really cool for them. So I think this is awesome for us to be kind of catalysts in their life to start out in sports.
We got new baseballs and gloves. We paid attention what our coach says.
Baseball is a good sport. It's an energized sport, so you can have fun. And I got a whole bunch of home runs.
Come on, that is awesome.
Now I start to like baseball more.
We want everybody to fall in love with the game of baseball. That's our goal. What we're doing with the PG Cares platform is much bigger than what we do in baseball. At the end of the day, I've told people before that I actually believe that as far as from a personal standpoint, PG Cares would be possibly my greatest accomplishment.
You know, when you think about the big leaguers that have given back, you saw them in that piece, certainly. Huge give back there. The Johnnies, Johnny Bench and Damon, they've given back to Perfect Game Cares. And then Trevor Story and George Springer put their money where their mouth was last year, giving a combined $150,000. Again, not only just growing the game of baseball, but providing educational opportunities and a way out for many talented young men and women. Perfect Game Cares. When we come back, a conversation with the head coach at Georgetown, Edwin Thompson. Excited to get to know more about his journey and Big East baseball. This is Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. We welcome you back to Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings, talking college baseball. Let's speak with a good friend of this show, of Perfect Game, and of the sport, the head coach at Georgetown in the Big East, Edwin Thompson, joins us now. Edwin, happy baseball season. It's here. You guys have worked awfully hard through the fall. You've braved the winter weather, certainly, to get here. But happy baseball season. Thanks for spending time with us.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Obviously, it's game week. You know, it's what every college baseball coach, whether you started already or you started this week, it's just, all the work you put in, it's just, now the fun part is beginning to result in competition.
Okay, so the conference, the Big East, from your perspective, introduce us how you see the Big East for those that might not follow it intimately from other parts of the country.
Yeah, I think it's a league that's kind of underrated a little bit from nationally, but obviously it's known for basketball. But I think from a baseball standpoint, there's some really, really good baseball programs. Obviously last year was my first experience in the Big East outside of playing some non-conference midweek games. You kind of go down a list, it's really competitive every weekend. And so I think that part of it, the perception of the league may be basketball, but it's also some really good baseball talent within our league.
I'm going to go back to my 17-year-old self. If I wanted to play for Georgetown and wear those sharp uniforms that you guys wear and play for Coach Thompson, what are some of the non-negotiables? What are the expectations?
Well, I think just being a good human. You have to be a good person. At the end of the day, we recruit people, and we want to find guys. I'm not a recruiter. I'm a presenter. I try to present to our players and our families. This is what we do and how it is. Obviously, we want guys to strive to be a big leaguer, but also we can be a CEO at the same time. Those things are never going to change. Whether I've been coaching for the last 18 years now, going to my 18th season, which is hard to process. The hard work and those things, that's a standard. We expect that. When we recruit you, you're going to work hard, you're going to do those things, but you better be a good person as you come through our doors and understand that the balance is going to take to be successful at Georgetown.
Decade plus ago, you were the first ever African-American coach in the ACC. That's kind of hard to process, and so we strive, we hope to move forward. What kind of progress are you seeing? Assistant coaches, head coaches, at all levels of college baseball that are African-American?
Yeah, well, at the predominantly white institutions, there hasn't been any new hires. There's still myself and Elton Pollock at Presbyterian for our head coaches. We have some great head coaches in the SWAC and the MEAC. I think where the change has started to come is some assistant coaches. Now this year there was a big influx of assistant coaches being hired that are black coaches. Change is coming. From last year to this year, there's probably about 20 new coaches into college Division One. Speaking as far as black coaches, that part is exciting to see, and hopefully continue to see the growth in the game. I think this, we want the game to represent our country, right? It's a great country. It's America's game. Well, we want to represent that with our hirings, and ultimately with our players that we recruit to represent our universities and just overall what America looks like.
I'm glad you're seeing it. I do want you to take me back to when you were actually still a high school player and a coach at the same time. I love the genesis of your coaching journey. He plays for the varsity team, but when he's done, he's a head coach or helper coach with the JV team. That's probably where it started with you, right?
Yeah, my coach, Chris Bessie, who's now the coach at University of Maine at Farmington, was my high school baseball, basketball, football coach. I'm in a small town, so I played 3 sports, and so we didn't have enough extra help to have a JV assistant coach. And any young coach out there, it's important to have a wide range of experiences, not just like players. You want to play multiple positions. We want to play multiple sports. I think as a coach, especially a young coach, if you can coach multiple positions and multiple sports, if they're able to, that's going to benefit your overall ability to do your job when it's down the road when you just have one responsibility, or in this situation as a head coach, you have a lot of responsibilities. But yeah, I think that's kind of where it all started from, back in J-Maine, and helping out my high school JV team when I was a varsity player.
Finally, you have a roster full of talented players. We have a shorter amount of time. I am going to ask you about one, because we saw Noah and Christian Sheffield at the All-American level this year at the Select Festival. We saw Dad, Gary, quite a bit. I feel obliged to check in on how Jaden Sheffield is doing at the college level.
Oh, good. Yeah, Jaden, he's doing great. He's a freshman, like anything, had some great games, had some games he's learning. Like a lot of times, just getting the freshmen to calm down and be patient. I think that's the key to this process. When they come in, they're so talented and they have so much ability, but he's doing just fine. And all of our players are, but he's definitely having a good adjustment to college and doing well.
Hey, best of luck. Wish we had more time. Congrats on all you've accomplished. Have a great year at Georgetown.
Thanks so much, and thanks for all you do for growing the game.
I love the concept that when he was a high school player, and a good one, he also was a high school coach at the very, very same time. And we continue on with the high school game next. When we come back, a conversation with one of the best two-way players in the nation. He's R.J. Austin, a perfect game All-American. We'll chat with him. This is Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. This is Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings, and one of our favorite guests, R.J. Austin. We've talked on so many different formats, R.J. Thank you so much for being with us on our weekly television show in the middle of the high school senior year for you, man. Thanks for being with us.
And no problem. Always an honor to be here.
I've been at events with you, with your teams in the dugout, when you'll play short, then you'll go warm up, and you close. You're a pitcher that consistently can live in the 90s. You're a great athlete, but you're also a solid pitcher. How long do you hope to do both? You're committed to go to Vanderbilt. Pro ball might be in the future. We'll see. But how long do you hope to do both, pitch and play shortstop?
I want to do it for forever. I see guys like Shohei Ohtani, who can do it. So, why not me? I think like that. So if I see guys on, television, MLB do it, I want to do it as long as I can. So just like Ohtani's doing, I want to do it, while I'm in the league, while I'm in college, like the whole time, it's just fun doing both, because in both ways you can help the team win the game. So that's the biggest thing for me, doing both.
Speaking on behalf of the talented, young future of the game, specifically the African-American future of the game, are you seeing progress and growth in the sport? I mean, we always hear that 8 and 9% in the big leagues. I see a little bit more progress at your age group, but I don't know what I don't know, and you need to educate me. Are you seeing growth of the sport?
That's for sure growth. I want to say in our class for sure, because, top guys like Tamar, Drew, Jason Jones, Elijah Green, those guys, African-Americans. So, I know in the MLB there's not that much, but, you see guys like us who can future kind of change that. It's kind of fun to see. And, younger guys text me all the time asking for advice. And like I always say, just play your game. Don't try to do too much. That's one big thing. Not trying to hit a home run every time. Just trying to, make your presence felt playing the game, because there's not many guys like us. So, they're gonna for sure look at you because you look different. So, just showing your talent and showing that you can stick is the biggest thing, I tell the people. And we all help each other, no matter, if you're white, black, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. We all just want to see each other win and support each other in what we do. So, I feel like everybody I've seen play, they all do a great job of, including everybody and everything. So I really appreciate everybody in our class for that.
Your class is going to be a very important class in the big league someday. Exciting to think about. So, Locked In Clothing, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Locked In, yes.
I got to know all about it. Are you where? Is that you right there? You're at Pace Academy. You're a student in Atlanta-based Pace Academy. But tell me about Locked In Clothing.
That started with when I started my clinic for younger kids. I started that 2 years ago. Then Locked In was one thing I said on the travel ball circuit. So I used to say that consistently. So a lot of people started saying it, and I was like, well, I should try some merch. It's been going pretty well. I've been getting a lot of orders, so I like it. I like wearing my own stuff. So it's like, and seeing other people around schools and around the city, even people outside of the state wearing it, it's a blessing because like I started that and people are wearing it, so it's kind of nice to see it kind of start.
All right, so go find RJ Austin on Instagram. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Hey, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. You've always been a joy to be around. These conversations are wonderful. No matter what happens this year, it's either Vandy or off to the professional ranks. You've earned every ounce of it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Incredible stuff. Love connecting with RJ and hearing him talk about everyone in the class. Thank you, RJ, for joining us. We want to thank Edwin Thompson, the coach of Georgetown, for joining us as well. The insights of PG Cares and all the leadership there and all the work they're doing in communities that need it the most. And most importantly, I love talking to Dave Stewart. Was there a bigger and a badder competitor than that man? Now his efforts and his wisdom, the African-American in the game of baseball and his leadership in that area, so welcome. If you like this show, by the way, grab your smart device or your smart TV and download the Perfect Game TV app. We're here every single week. We're devoted to amateur baseball. This has been Perfect Game Weekly, presented by Rawlings. We'll see you for sure at a field near you. It's season time.